I've worked maintenance at Silver Pines Ski Resort for almost 6 winters now. It's one of those places tucked high in the Rockies, where the snow never really melts and silence feels heavier than the air itself. You don't come up here unless you're running from something, or you're the kind of person who prefers to hear the wind instead of people. My job's simple on paper: check the heating lines, maintain the snow groomers, and monitor the underground service tunnels that snake below the main lodges. Those tunnels keep the place running when the weather turns brutal, which is most of the time. The first time I went down there, I remember thinking the mountain sounded alive. The pipes moaned when the wind hit right. The walls sweated from the heat ducts. I told myself it was just acoustics, metal expanding in the cold, but there was a pattern to it, like a slow breathing rhythm hidden in the foundation. The season started quiet this year. Fewer tourists, fewer staff. The resort had been losing business ever since the avalanche last winter. They said it took 2 hikers, but locals whispered about more, people who never officially checked in. I don't know why, but every time I walked past the service door to Tunnel C, I'd feel this slight static in the air, like a hum only my bones could pick up. Then came the signal. It started 3 nights ago. Around 2 a.m. I was doing my usual sweep through the snowcat garage when my radio crackled. Not static, something rhythmic. It sounded like Morse code, but slower, drawn out. Then silence. I called it in, but dispatch said no one else reported anything. The next night, same thing, only louder. I went down into the tunnels to trace it. The concrete corridors echoed with each step, my flashlight beam flickering, as if the air itself didn't want light in it. The sound came from deeper inside, where the maintenance maps turned fuzzy and half erased. It was warmer there, unnaturally so. My breath stopped fogging. That's when I noticed it. Frost patterns on the wall, curling like fingerprints, glowing faintly blue. I put my hand near one and felt vibration, faint and pulsing. Then, from my radio again, this time a voice. It whispered, "Don't dig deeper." I froze. I checked the channel, no open mic, no transmission log. I tried calling back, nothing but silence and the sound of something breathing near the vent. I left fast, but when I surfaced, it was snowing again, the kind of snow that muffles everything. Even the lights from the main lodge looked like ghosts behind a veil. The next morning, my supervisor, Ellis, mentioned power surges overnight, said half the cameras went offline around 2:14 a.m. Might be the snow load, he said, but his eyes looked tired. He'd been here long enough to know better. That evening, I checked the footage. Every camera near Tunnel C showed static during that same window, except one frame, half a second of something standing in the snow near the entrance. It wasn't human. The outline was too long, too thin, and its head looked wrong. I paused the frame and zoomed in. Pixels stretched, and something like eyes reflected back at me. But not 2, 4. I told myself it was a glitch. Then my radio clicked again. This time the voice was different, sharper. "You saw it. Now it sees you." I didn't sleep that night. The wind outside howled through the metal ducts, and I could swear it matched the same pattern. I heard on the radio, rhythmic, intentional. The next day, I went back to Tunnel C. This time, I left my radio behind. The silence down there was heavier, more focused, as if the mountain was listening for me. When I reached the sealed section, I found fresh snow inside. Snow, underground. It wasn't melting either. It clung to the walls and shapes, almost like handprints. That's when the ground trembled. Just once, a pulse that rattled my teeth. I looked up and saw the frost moving, slowly twisting across the concrete, like it was following me. Then a voice, clear, male, deep, spoke from right behind me. "You shouldn't have come back." I turned, but no one was there, just my footprints, and another set, leading deeper into the dark. I followed them for reasons I can't explain. Maybe I was afraid of what I'd see if I didn't. The tunnel sloped downward into an area not on any map. The walls turned from concrete to something else. Stone, maybe, or ice. My flashlight kept flickering, and I caught flashes of carvings, symbols that looked like circuitry mixed with veins. That's when the hum came back, louder than ever, vibrating through my skull. I knelt down and pressed my ear to the ground. Beneath the stone, something was moving. The hum turned into a heartbeat. I stumbled back, disoriented, and that's when I saw light, soft, blue, bleeding from cracks in the floor. It pulsed like breath. I ran. By the time I made it topside, dawn was breaking, but the sky looked wrong. The snow had stopped falling, yet there were still flakes hanging in the air, frozen mid-descent. When I reached the lodge, Ellis was waiting by the door. He looked pale, shaking. "You felt it too," he said. "It's waking up again." Before I could ask, he handed me a keycard. "Storage Unit 7, basement level. You'll find the old blueprints there. Don't trust the new ones." He didn't explain, just turned and walked away into the snow. Later that night, I unlocked the storage room. It smelled like rust and paper. The blueprints inside were dated 1962 silver. Pines wasn't just a resort back then, it was a research facility. They were studying something under the mountain, something they found during the original tunnel construction. The documents called it Resonant Entity 04, and below that, handwritten notes. Subject emits low-frequency signal, causes visual and auditory distortions. Do not excavate further. My hands were shaking as I read. Outside, the wind rose again, steady, rhythmic, matching that same hum. And from the wall, faint and muffled, I heard someone whisper my name. I don't remember driving back to my quarters that night. One moment, I was in the storage room staring at the old blueprints. The next, I was standing in my cabin with the papers spread across the table, the wind outside whistling through the vent like a voice I almost recognized. The documents were incomplete, torn in places. The layout showed 5 tunnels, not 4. There was one more, Tunnel E, deeper, unmarked, branching off from the geothermal lines. I stared at the faded ink until my eyes hurt. Someone had drawn a circle at the end of Tunnel E, and beside it, a single word, heart. The radio on my desk crackled suddenly, even though I hadn't turned it on. A man's voice whispered, warped by static. "Find the heart." The sound froze me. The voice. It sounded like Ellis. I grabbed my jacket and flashlight and stepped out into the cold. Snowflakes hung in the air again, unmoving, like the wind had forgotten how to blow. The lodge lights flickered behind me. Every window looked dark, empty, but I could feel something watching from them. By the time I reached the service hatch to the tunnels, I could barely breathe. The metal was coated in frost, the handle biting into my palm. The smell hit me first, metal and ozone, like lightning trapped underground. When I switched on my flashlight, the beam caught movement far down the hall. A shape, thin, too tall, gliding instead of walking. My stomach twisted, but I didn't run. I had to know what was happening beneath this mountain. The deeper I went, the louder the hum became. Not just in my ears anymore, it was under my skin, in my teeth, in my heartbeat. I felt it sinking with me. After 20 minutes, the concrete gave way again to stone, just like before. Except now the walls were breathing. The frost patterns were gone. In their place, I saw something wet glistening on the rock, like condensation, but it pulsed with faint blue light. I shone the beam closer and realized it wasn't moisture. It was tissue. The stone wasn't stone. It was something else. I backed away, bile rising in my throat. Then my flashlight flickered and died. I smacked it once, twice. The beam sputtered back, but I wasn't alone anymore. There was a man standing about 20 feet ahead. His head hung low, arms limp at his sides. "Ellis?" I called out. My voice echoed. The figure twitched once. Then another voice came from behind me, clear as daylight. "He's not here anymore." I spun around, no one. When I looked back, the figure was gone. I ran. My boots splashed through shallow puddles that hadn't been there before. The tunnel was shifting, stretching, bending. The hum grew rhythmic again, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. Finally, I reached a dead end. The wall ahead wasn't flat. It rose and fell with slow, heavy breaths. I pressed my hand against it. It was warm. And then I heard whispers, hundreds of them, all around me, overlapping, echoing through the metal and stone. Some sounded human. Some didn't. "You were called. It remembers you. We woke it too soon." The light flickered again, and for a split second, I saw faces, half-formed, frozen in the rock, eyes moving beneath translucent ice. That's when my radio, dead since I'd left the surface, clicked on again. "Leave, leave, leave." It was Ellis's voice again, desperate, cracking. I turned and ran, the hum screaming now, walls vibrating with every step. But the tunnel didn't lead up anymore. It led down. The slope grew steeper, the air hotter. I tripped, fell hard, and slid until I hit metal. A hatch. My flashlight landed beside it, the beam cutting through the dark enough for me to read one word engraved. Into the hatch door, heart. My chest felt like it would burst. I tried to back away, but the hatch began to shake, dust falling from the ceiling. Something was moving beneath it, slow, deliberate. Then the voice again, not from the radio this time. "From below? You came back to fix what they broke." The hatch groaned. A thin blue light started seeping through the cracks, pulsing in rhythm with the hum in my skull. I grabbed a wrench from my belt and struck the latch, trying to seal it shut, but it didn't help. The bolts started twisting on their own, unscrewing from the inside. The hum turned to a low roar, vibrating the air until I couldn't hear my own heartbeat anymore. I screamed, but my voice disappeared in the sound. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the floor of the maintenance office. Morning light spilled through the blinds. My watch said 6:14 a.m. Ellis was gone. So were the blueprints. The storage room keycard was missing. I checked the tunnel logs. No record of me accessing Tunnel E. No footage. And yet my boots were wet. There was dirt under my nails. Frostbite marks on my fingertips. I looked at the wall. And there it was again. The frost pattern. Glowing faintly. Except now it wasn't just lines and swirls. It was a shape. A map. And right at the center of that map, written in frost like veins of light, was a single word. Heart. I stared until the letters began to fade, replaced by new ones forming slowly, painfully as if carved by unseen hands. Come back. I didn't mean to go back. At least, that's what I tell myself when I try to remember how it happened. The next few days were a blur. The snow outside stopped falling, but the silence didn't feel right. It was too clean, like someone had turned down the world's volume. I kept hearing faint clicks at night, like Morse code again, but it wasn't coming from my radio this time. It came from the walls. Every few seconds, click, 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 pause. Sometimes it sounded like breathing between the clicks, sometimes whispering. I tried telling the others, maintenance crew, front desk, even the kitchen guy, but they all looked at me like I was overworked. Maybe I was. Maybe the altitude was messing with my head. That night, I found new footprints outside my cabin. Bare feet, human, except the toes were wrong, too long, curling like claws in the snow. The next morning, I couldn't find Ellis anywhere. His quarters were stripped bare, bed unslept, keycard gone. I went back to the control room. Every monitor showed static except one, Tunnel C. On that screen, through the grainy distortion, I saw Ellis walking into the dark, dragging something heavy behind him, his eyes, white, glowing faintly. And then for just a second, he looked right into the camera, like he could see me watching. The feed cut to black. I grabbed my flashlight, the old blueprints, and a bottle of water. The snow outside had stopped mid-fall again, frozen in air. I walked toward the service hatch. I didn't even feel cold anymore. The tunnel door opened easier this time. The hum was already there, waiting. As I descended, I noticed the frost patterns had changed again. They weren't random swirls now. They were forming faces. Hundreds of faces. Some looked like mine. At one intersection, I stopped to catch my breath. My radio crackled alive, whispering a voice I couldn't mistake. Don't fight it. It remembers who you are. I dropped the radio, the sound echoing through the tunnel like laughter. When I reached the junction for Tunnel E, I found something new. Deep claw marks on the door. Long, deliberate scratches, as if something inside had tried to get out. The air shimmered faintly like heat mirage. I stepped through. The tunnel had changed again. It wasn't concrete or stone anymore. It was smooth, curved, like I'd stepped inside something's throat. The walls pulsed faintly with light, and I swear I could hear a slow heartbeat. My flashlight flickered again, then went out completely. I tried turning it back on, and that's when I noticed something glowing on my wrist, a faint blue line beneath my skin. I pressed my fingers against it, and it pulsed in sync with the hum. Panic crawled up my throat. I stumbled forward, deeper, following the vibrations. The walls whispered as I passed. Fragments of voices. He came first. He stayed. You were chosen because you listened. The tunnel widened into a chamber. My flashlight flickered back for a split second, and I wished it hadn't. The chamber walls were covered in faces, hundreds of them, all pressed into the surface like clay masks. Their eyes followed me. Some mouths moved, soundlessly repeating the same word over and over. Heart. In the center of the chamber, a figure stood half embedded in the wall. It was Ellis, or what was left of him. His skin glowed faintly blue, veins pulsing in time with the hum. His mouth opened, and when he spoke, it was like the mountain itself was talking through him. You shouldn't have ignored it. The signal isn't calling us. We are the signal. The ground shook. I fell to my knees. My ears rang with static, memories flashing, images I couldn't place. I saw myself standing in the same tunnel, years ago, laughing with people I didn't remember, engineers in old uniforms, a drilling rig, screams. The flash ended. My breath fogged again, even though the air felt warm. Ellis's voice, or whatever he was, grew louder. They built the resort to hide it, to feed it. Every machine, every pipe, every line, they pulse for it. The hum intensified until my skull felt like it would crack. The faces in the walls began to open their mouths in unison, releasing faint static screams. I stumbled backward, tripped, and hit the floor hard. My flashlight rolled away, its beam spinning across the walls, across the faces, until it caught something else. A mirror. It was small, old, cracked, but the reflection was clear enough. I didn't see myself. I saw Ellis standing behind me, whispering something I couldn't hear. His reflection smiled, but when I turned, no one was there. The mirror shattered on its own. I looked back toward the chamber's center. Ellis was gone. The wall where he'd been was smooth again. I started running, any direction that wasn't toward that sound. My boots echoed, and soon I realized there were more footsteps echoing with me. Not behind me, beside me. Invisible. Matching every step. The tunnel twisted, the hum now whispering words between beats. My name again and again. Come back, come back, come back. When I finally saw light ahead, I ran toward it. I burst through an access hatch and found myself standing in the resort lobby. Except it wasn't the same. The air was thick with mist, every light flickering in slow rhythm. The snow outside still hung frozen midair. The lobby clock's second hand moved once every few minutes. On the front desk, a single radio sat humming faintly. Its speaker pulsed blue. I approached it slowly. The static shaped itself into words, my own voice. I found it. I found the heart. Then the radio clicked off. The hum didn't stop. It followed me back to my cabin, inside my head, beneath my skin. That night, when I tried to sleep, I dreamed of frost creeping across the ceiling. It spelled words again. One more step. When I woke, those same words were carved into the frost on my window. Outside in the snow stood a figure, tall, thin, watching. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. But when I blinked, it was closer. I didn't sleep after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it. The hum, now inside my heartbeat. Sometimes it spoke. Sometimes it only remembered me. The snow outside had stopped again, completely. The flakes hung motionless in the air like stars frozen in time. I knew what it wanted. It wasn't calling me anymore. It was waiting. By morning, I had packed what little mattered. The flashlight, the wrench, the old blueprints that somehow found their way back to my desk overnight. I don't remember placing them there. They were different now. The ink had shifted. Where it once said, Tunnel E, there was something new, drawn in faint, living blue. Beneath, I stepped outside. The air didn't move, but I could hear it breathe. Each crunch of my boot sounded like a heartbeat under the snow. The service hatch was already open. I don't remember unlocking it. The hum greeted me before I even touched the ladder. The tunnels below felt familiar, like returning to a place I had never left. The deeper I went, the more the light changed. It wasn't dark. It was thick. The air itself glowed, blue veins pulsing through the walls. Each tunnel twisted differently this time. I stopped trying to follow the maps. They didn't mean anything anymore. At one junction, I saw something impossible. A version of me walking ahead in the beam of another flashlight. Same jacket, same limp from an old fall. I called out, but he didn't turn. When I followed, the tunnel bent, sharp left, and the figure vanished. At the corner, there was a mirror again. I looked into it and saw him, me, staring back, lips moving. The reflection whispered, "Keep going, it's almost awake." The hum rose again, and the mirror cracked. Further down, I found a section I'd never seen before. The walls opened into a vast cavern, an impossible hollow space under the mountain. It was enormous. The ceiling pulsed faintly, veins of light stretching into darkness. In the center stood a shape buried under frost. Not stone, not metal, something in between. It rose and fell slowly like lungs. And around it, half buried in ice, were machines. Dozens of them, old generators, radio towers, wires leading straight into the thing's surface. The heart. I stepped closer, the hum vibrating through my ribs, syncing with my breath, my pulse. I could feel it inside me now. The frost began to crawl across the machines, sealing them in. Every cable shimmered blue. A whisper filled the cavern, soft, infinite. "You fixed the lines. You opened the path." I looked around. Shadows moved in the light. Figures half formed from the walls. Faces I recognized and didn't. Ellis was among them, eyes glowing faintly, mouth moving with the hum. He pointed at the heart. "Touch it." My hand rose before I could stop it. The air burned cold, every nerve screaming as my fingertips met the surface. The hum exploded into light. My vision went white. For a moment I saw everything. The tunnels, the resort, the people, the snow, all pulsing, all connected, like blood in veins. The mountain wasn't holding something. The mountain was something. Every generator, every human, every drop of water, feeding it for decades, keeping it asleep. And now, I'd woken it. The light faded, but it didn't go dark. It just changed. The cavern was gone. I was standing outside again, under the still sky. The snow still frozen midair. The resort lights were all on, but no one was moving. Not a single sound. I walked toward the main lodge. Inside, everything was exactly as before. Table set, lights humming, fires flickering. Except no one was there. The radio on the front desk turned on by itself. My voice again. It's awake now. I turned toward the window. The reflection showed people behind me, staff, guests all standing still, faces expressionless, eyes glowing faint blue. I spun around. The room was empty. The hum surged once more, filling the walls, the air, my head. I ran outside. The mountain loomed above me, its peaks pulsing faintly, veins of blue stretching through the snow-like roots. I looked down at my hands. The same faint glow pulsed beneath the skin. I dropped to my knees, breath freezing midair. The hum wasn't around me anymore, it was in me. I screamed, but the sound came out as static. Above, the stars flickered, then went out, one by one, until only the mountain glowed. And then silence. The kind of silence that isn't empty. The kind that listens back. Somewhere beneath me, I could still hear it breathing. Slow, steady. I don't know how long I've been sitting here. The snow hasn't fallen in days. The radios keep whispering my name. If anyone finds this recording, don't come looking for me. Don't come to Silver Pines. The mountain isn't asleep anymore, and neither am I.